Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, yes, good evening. But can you hear me? Can you hear me? I said, can you hear me? Okay, Ahama Talimatu, yes, you can hear me. Okay, so excellent. So, as I said for the today's class, actually, we are going to look at the uh, although I think before I started the class, we have discussed or I send you videos and you watch on chemistry of nucleic acid. So please, before I proceed, I don't know if you have any questions concerning the previous lectures on biochemistry of macromolecules. That is biochem 241. So please, do you have any questions before we proceed? Is there any questions from the previous videos that you watched before we go to the next topic? Is there any questions from the previous video? If there is no question, just say no question so that I will proceed to the next. Okay, so thank you very much. You said that I should proceed. So, of course, in today's topic, we are going to look at the introduction to chemistry of carbohydrates. So, of course, the title of the course is on a chemistry of macromolecules, and these macromolecules includes nucleic acids, it includes carbohydrates, it includes proteins, and it also includes fatty acids, or let me just say lipids. So we are done with, of course, the nucleic acid. So the next one that we are going to look at today is the chemistry of carbohydrates. And of course, you shouldn't forget from the basic concept of chemistry. When we said chemistry of something, it means that we are dealing with its structure, it is composition, and it is properties. So I can see now, also, sorry, as you can see, we are going to start with the basic background knowledge of carbohydrate. So, what is carbohydrates? In terms of the chemical nature, please, please, am I the only one that I can hear? No, I think they are all hearing me, so maybe the problem is from you. So, we are now going to define what carbohydrate is. So carbohydrate is a polyhydroxy aldehyde or ketones, or any compound that produce such on hydrolysis. So the first thing that will come into your mind whenever you are going to define carbohydrate is the functional group of the carbohydrate. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, there are only two functional groups that are usually found in carbohydrate, and you shouldn't forget about them in any way when it comes to carbohydrate, and that is like the signature. That is the signature of carbohydrate. So those are functional group of carbohydrates is aldehyde and ketone. So aldehyde functional groups and the ketone functional group, they are the one that have, or they are the basic functional group that are found in carbohydrate. So please don't forget about this. The basic functional group of carbohydrates is aldehyde and ketones. The other name for aldehyde is called alkanal. The other name for aldehyde is called alkanal. And then the other names for ketones is called alkanol. The spelling of alkanol is ALKANONE. That is alkanone. And then for the alkanal is ALKANAL, is called alkanal. So as I said, when it comes to carbohydrates, you shouldn't forget about this, that they have functional group, and this functional group is aldehyde and ketone. So what differentiates the alcohol the aldehyde and ketone functional group is the number of carbon that usually found sorry the number of atoms that attach to the carbonyl carbon. The number of atoms that attach to the carbonyl carbon. So what is carbonyl carbon? A carbonyl carbon is a carbon that have carbon to oxygen double bond. So whenever you have a compound that have carbon to oxygen double bond, that compound is called carbonyl, or that carbon is called carbonyl carbon. So when you have carbon bearing oxygen double bond, so that carbon is called carbonyl carbon. So I think you can clearly see from this picture, we have we have two carbohydrates here. We have D-glucose and we have D-mannose. And as you can see, if you look at the first carbon from the D-glucose and the D-mannose, you will see that you have the carbon oxygen double bond. Can you see that? Please, ladies and gentlemen, can you see the carbon to oxygen double bond in the D-glucose and the D-mannose? I'm asking, did you see carbon to oxygen double bond from D-glucose and the D-mannose? Excellent, excellent. So now you see that you have carbon to oxygen double bond, but the carbon bearing the double bond, it also contain another atoms. So what is the atoms that attach to that carbonyl carbon? Who can tell me? Which atom that attached to the carbonyl carbon? Okay, Fatima Wabagrima, maybe it's your network. So you say that you can see carbon to oxygen double bond. So now the question is, which atoms attach to that carbon? I'm waiting for your response. Which element attached to that carbon to oxygen double bond? Okay, good evening, Aisha Hamza. No, it's not oxygen atom. The carbon is already bonded to oxygen atom. Excellent, falling. The atoms that attach to the carbon hydrogen bond is hydrogen atom. Excellent, Faith. Is hydrogen. So whenever you have carbon to oxygen double bond attached with free hydrogen atom, that is what we call aldehyde functional group. So when you have carbon bonded with oxygen and another free hydrogen atom, that functional group is called aldehyde functional group. Is that clear? Is that clear? But in a situation where the carbon bearing the oxygen double bond have any alkyl group from your basic organic chemistry knowledge. So when they have only, or when there is no hydrogen, but you only have alkyl group, which is CH4, sorry, CH3 or CH2CH3. So it is not considered as aldehyde, rather, it is called ketone functional group. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this structure of clear, so whenever you are asked to define carbohydrate is defined as a polyhydroxy aldehyde or polyhydroxy ketone, or any compound that produces such on hydrolysis. So then very simply, without carbohydrate, we cannot survive. So carbohydrates is very, very important in there will be no structure of even the cell itself. Even the cell itself, there will be no cell. So this is to tell you that carbohydrate is very important, and it's one of the important things that we should know, that if there is no this carbohydrate, it means there is no life. So that is why we said carbohydrate is one of the major four biomolecules for life. And this carbohydrate is served as a primary energy source for living organism. So very importantly, ladies and gentlemen, this carbohydrate that we are talking about is the primary source of energy in our body. So therefore, if we ha- if we need energy in our body, then we need to take although very importantly, though it is said is a primary source of energy in our body, meaning that, please, are you not seeing the slides? If you're not seeing, can see the slides? I'm asking, can you see my slides? London. Okay, so let me share it again. So I hope you can see it now. So what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, carbohydrate is a primary source of energy for living organism. So it means that it is the first biomolecules that produce energy in our body, although other biomolecules in our body can also generate energy. But carbohydrate is completely absent in our body. But provided that there are carbohydrates, many molecules can be used for energy generation. Okay, please, you should go and tell them that I think the network now is okay. So please, let's continue. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. So please, you can tell them that they can rejoin with the same link. So, as I'm saying, it's not only carbohydrate that produce energy, proteins also produce energy, fat also produce energy. But very importantly, the amount of energy generated by proteins and carbohydrate is the same. They produce 4 kilocal from 1 gram. But for the lipid, it produces about 9 kilocal. It means that the amount of the energy generated or produced from the fat is even more than that of the energy generated from carbohydrate. But what I said very importantly, if there is carbohydrate, then the lipid cannot be used for energy generation. And if there is carbohydrate, the proteins can also be generated, so they can also not be used for energy generation. But when we exhaust, when our carbohydrate is completely exhausted in our body, then that is when the lipids can be actually utilized for energy generation. And very importantly, this lipid, we store them in adipose tissue from our breast cells. In our breast, we store it in the adipose tissue. That is the cell of the breast. We also store it in testes. We also store it in the ovary. So this is the different part where lipid are stored. So we only use lipid as a source of energy when carbohydrate is exhausted. And why is it that the energy generated from lipid is greater than that of carbohydrate, greater than that of the protein? Is because the carbohydrates, sorry, the lipid is highly reduced. It is highly reduced. It's made of with a lot of hydrogen atoms. So they are highly in reduced form, and that is why they generate energy more than any class of macromolecules. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we are doing the class, toward the end of the class, I will be asking you questions on what we discuss. So then the next thing after this slide is about the classification of carbohydrates. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can still see the slide. So generally carbohydrates are classified into three classes, or sometimes we classify them as simple and complex. So carbohydrate can be classified as simple and complex. The simple carbohydrate is divided into monosaccharides and disaccharides. So these monosaccharides are the simplest sugars that contain only one monosaccharide unit, that they cannot further be hydrolyzed, and that is why they are called monosaccharides. An example of these monosaccharides, it includes glucose, fructose, and galactose. So these are the examples of monosaccharide. But ladies and gentlemen, very importantly, if you check some textbooks, you will not see that, you will not see this disaccharide. You will not see it. Like for example, in this case, if you can look at it, carbohydrates are classified into three main categories. There is monosaccharides, there is oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide. So you see here there is no disaccharide. So a disaccharide is a sugar that contain 2 to 15 simple sugars. They contain 2 to 15 monosaccharides. They contain 2 to 15 monosaccharides. So you see, even the disaccharide, it falls under oligosaccharide. And that is why if you see some textbooks, they will not tell you that there is disaccharide, because disaccharide is one of the examples of oligosaccharide. So these are the three types of sugars that we have, and I also agree with that we have monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide, while disaccharide is under oligosaccharide. And of course, these monosaccharides are the simplest form. They consist of a single sugar unit. I hope this Deborah that is saying network issue, I hope is not from my side. I hope you can still see the slide clearly and you can hear me. So as I was saying, the monosaccharide is the most simplest sugar, and it consists of a single sugar unit. So this single sugar unit, we have glucose, we have fructose, and then we have galactose. So these are the examples of monosaccharide. And then the next one is the oligosaccharide and polysaccharide. So generally, oligosaccharide and polysaccharide they contain or they are composed of multiple sugar units and linked together. So the oligosaccharide they contain more than one sugar. So oligosaccharide, as I said, it contains 2 to 15 simple sugars, but if you check some textbooks, they will tell you 2 to 10. So the oligosaccharides, which is a sugar that contain two monosaccharides, they are under oligosaccharide. And examples of these simple sugars, sorry, of these disaccharides, we have maltose, we have lactose, and then we have sucrose. So these are the examples of monosaccharides that contain only two sugars. And then the next one is polysaccharide, which is one of the most complex sugar, and it's made of two types. Even the polysaccharide is made up of two types. We have polysaccharides, so we will have homopolysaccharides, and we have heteropolysaccharides. I'm coming 1 minute. So so I hope you now understand that we have three types of carbohydrates. We have monosaccharides, we have disaccharides, sorry, we have oligosaccharides, and we have polysaccharides. So for the monosaccharide, they are the simplest sugar, which include glucose, fructose, and galactose. And then oligosaccharides, they are sugars that contain 2 to 15 simple sugars. And examples of this oligosaccharide, it can be disaccharides, it can be trisaccharides, it can be tetrasaccharides, it can be even pentasaccharides. So for the disaccharide, we have maltose, lactose, and sucrose. So the next type of, please, someone is saying that it's not seeing my slides. Is there anybody that can't also see my slide? Can you see the slides? So the next thing is polysaccharides. So the polysaccharide, as I said, is also divided into two. We have homopolysaccharides and we have heteropolysaccharides. Homo means the same. Hetero means different. So if you have sugar, so you cannot see the slides. So as I was saying, when we said homopolysaccharide, the homo means the same. So it means that if in the polysaccharide is one, let's say there are 100,000 glucose. So the 1,000 glucose that are found in that polysaccharide, in the case of homopolysaccharide, it means that they contain the same repeating unit. Maybe it's glucose, that glucose molecules, or that homopolysaccharides maybe contain the whole of the repeating unit or the whole of the simple sugars is glucose. So when the repeating unit or when the simple sugars that form the polysaccharide are the same, like let's say they are all glucose molecule, let's say they are all galactose or they are all fructose. So it means that they have the same set of sugars that form the polysaccharides, and that is why they are called homopolysaccharides. And then for heteropolysaccharides, it is a types of sugar that contain different monomeric units. And this different monomeric unit, it can be okay, it contain glucose at some point, it contain galactose, it contain lactose, it contains fructose. So you see, if the repeating units are not the same and it is polysaccharide, so that types of polysaccharide is called heteropolysaccharides. So, ladies and gentlemen, basically these are the types of carbohydrate. We have monosaccharide, oligosaccharides, and then polysaccharides. I hope it's clear. So, now, what are the structure of monosaccharides? We are starting with the structure of the monosaccharides. So, and okay, let me say something very important. You will see that there are some of the students, you will see their names is in green. So it is those that actually joined my YouTube membership. So if you are interested to join the YouTube membership, you can join, because there are videos that are available on my YouTube channel, especially biostatistics, human physiology 225 and human physiology 227. So if you can register, you can join the YouTube membership so that you can have access to my videos on biostatistics and uh, the human physiology. So you can do that. So as you can see, all those with the green color, it means that it's an indication they are already members to the YouTube channel, like Aisha, Hamza, Neziro, Al Hassan. So then now let's look at the monosaccharide, their structure. So monosaccharides, they are typically how monosaccharides typically have a background of carbon atoms with hydroxyl groups attached. So if you look at the monosaccharides, they are they have carbohydrate, they have uh if you look at the structure, you'll see that the monosaccharides have they have, you look at them, they have carbon background, and there are a lot of OH group attached to it with their functional group. Okay, Muhammad Sani Amin said I want to, okay, he said you want to join the YouTube membership. So maybe you have ATM. So you go and you will go to the channel, you see join. So when you click on the join, then it will take you to input your information. Then you can input your information, and then 1,500 will be deducted. So once you are successful, it means you join the YouTube, so you can have access to all my videos on biostatistics. Like so far, I have like 8 videos on biostatistics, 5 videos for human physiology 225, and 2 videos on human physiology 227. So if you want to join, you can join so that you can have access to all the videos and the calculation on biostatistics. So I'm taking 4 courses. So for biochemistry, if you are doing biochemistry, so all the videos are free for biochem 241. But for those courses, you can actually join the YouTube membership so that you can have access to them. So then the common examples of these monosaccharides, we have glucose, we have fructose, and galactose. And yes, the one in 750 is also a membership, but the only difference between the two is that if you check the last one, the one on 1,700 is a vid is on, sorry, the 1,500 is PQ and short videos. So it means that apart from watching the videos, if you join that level, it means that you can have access to the fast question papers. So I will solve fast question paper for biostatistics and those human physiology courses. and you will have access to them. And also the short videos, it means that all these videos that I'm doing, that a time, especially during exam or close to exam period, I will summarize them in short videos. So it's only those members that are, or it's only those that join that level of membership will have access to this. But for the videos like biostatistic and so many biostatistic and human physiology, you can have access to them all if you joined level 1, but you are limited. It's not everything that you can see. So the common examples of monosaccharides, we have glucose, fructose, and galactose. I have made mention this. So very importantly, these monosaccharides, they can exist either in a linear form. So the D-glucose here and D-mannose, D-fructose, they are all in a linear form. But importantly, there are also a state where this carbohydrate can exist in a cyclic forms, which with the cyclic form being more prevalent in solution. So most of the carbohydrates that you have, if you take them, you put them in water or any solvent, it usually form cycle. So it cyclarize itself. It usually cyclarize itself. So after the cyclarization, that is why the carbohydrate is called cyclic form of the carbohydrate. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand. So it can form the structure from my side is not showing very clear. So maybe you have network issue. So ladies and gentlemen, monosaccharide, it has carbon background that attach with a lot of OH group, and examples of this monosaccharide we have fructose, glucose, and galactose. And also in addition, you can also have linear and the cyclic forms of the monosaccharide. So I have tried several times to join, but it can't allow me. So maybe possibly you can change another ATM, because you can use someone ATM to join the membership. And let me tell you, this is the right time that you should try as much as possible to join that YouTube membership, so that at least you will be reading on time and you will not have issue and you will not also have carry over. So if you look at it, is I'm taking 4 courses basically, but if you are doing biochem 241, I'm a lecturer that assigned to that course, so it's free. It's not compulsory to join. If you are only after the videos on biochemistry on my channel, you can have access to all of them. But for the biostatistics, the human physiology, there are videos that are restricted. It's only members that can have access to them. So that is why I'm advising you, it's better you have access to these videos now, so that at least you'll not have issues later. So these are actually also the common. You see, this one is about the structure of monosaccharides. So now we are going to look at the common monosaccharide. So the common monosaccharides includes glucose, and this glucose is a primary energy source and is crucial for cellular respiration. So starting with glucose, it is actually the primary source of energy in our body. So whenever we need energy, so it's this glucose that we utilize and is crucial for our cellular respiration. And then very importantly, apart from glucose, then we have fructose. So the fructose is found mainly in fruit. It's usually found in fruit and is sweeter than glucose, and it might metabolize differently. So the way you metabolize glucose and fructose is not the same, because for the cellular respiration, like glycolysis, glucose can or usually channel into glycolysis without any structural modification. But in the case in the case of fructose, it's mainly found in fruits and it can be metabolized differently. So their metabolism is not 100% the same. There are some points where they differ from one another. And then the next one is a galactose. So a galactose is a component of lactose the sugar that found in milk. So you know that we child used to get breast from, sorry, they used to suck milk from their parent. So that milk, it really, or it highly rich in lactose. So the sugar that obtained by a baby from their mother's milk is lactose. And of course, lactose is a disaccharide sugar that made of galactose and glucose. So that is what I want you to understand here. So the common monosaccharides, you have glucose, fructose, and galactose, and try to know their sources. Where do we get glucose? We usually get it from plants. Where do we get fruits? We get sorry, where do we get fructose? We get them from fruits. Where we get galactose, then we get them from lactose. So you should know their sources. So lactose is an example of disaccharide. So then let's move to the next. So how these monosaccharides are formed, how these disaccharides are produced. So disaccharides are formed. Okay, someone is okay, Rita. If you want to join, what you are going to do, you check, even from this video, you will see join. So you click on that join. So it will ask you to provide all your information. Yeah, you see, actually, biochemistry is one of the difficult courses that you are going to do this semester. So that is why some of you are having some difficulties in getting this. Of course, there is material, and is there in your LMS. You can get them from there. So the videos will always guide you. So what I'm saying for those that want to join, so you see join, click on it, then you now input all your details, include your ATM. So that is that for. So now the next thing is the formation of disaccharide. That is where we are. So you see monosaccharide joined with another monosaccharide through alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. They joined through alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. So this alpha 1,4 glycosidic form is formed as a result of condensation reaction, where we have two molecules, so the one molecules of water will be removed. So in a condensation reaction, it's a type of reaction where smaller molecules join together, join together to produce larger one with the removal of small molecules like water, like hydrogen. So I have questions, sir. The material given to us says the oligosaccharide contains 1 to 10 monosaccharide, and here you set 2 to 14. No, disaccharide doesn't contain, one is monosaccharide. If it is one is monosaccharide, so you shouldn't put that as this thing. But I agree if you say 2 to 10, and I also said that 2 to 10, I said that too. And in some textbooks is 2 to 15. So I didn't say 2 to 14. It's 2 to 15 I said, and 1 to 10. So you can see that. No, it's monthly. Chiomaglo. It's three courses for it's three courses. Biostatistic, two physiology courses. So it's monthly, please. So you should get it. So how these disaccharides are formed? They form as a result of condensation reaction, where smaller molecules join together to produce larger one through glycosidic bond. So the types of bond that specifically bind two different simple sugars is called alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. So you can see that the disaccharides are formed by the condensation reaction between two monosaccharides. It contains two monosaccharides. So you see, it's when two monosaccharides join together, then you'll have disaccharide. So this reaction is result in the formation of glycosidic bonds. So after the form, the monosaccharide, when you join them together, they are formed as a result of the formation of glycosidic bond and the release of water molecule. So you can even see clearly the water molecules that remove. Look at the OH group is from alpha carbon 4 and the hydrogen is coming from carbon 1. So after the condensation, one molecules of water is removed. Okay, someone said, okay, is it all fruits that contain fructose? Because some are sour. No, usually the 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 fructose is usually found in sweeter fruits, in sweet fruits. So then the common disaccharide, the most common disaccharides, there are sucrose, lactose, and maltose. So these are the most common types of disaccharides. Police, I hope you are following. I hope you are still following. Okay, excellent. So now is the structure and the function of disaccharides. So as we mentioned, the most common types of disaccharides, we have sucrose, we have lactose, and we have maltose. So we are going to look at the difference between them. So what is sucrose? A sucrose is composed of glucose and fructose. So that the disaccharides, that is the two monosaccharides that are found in sucrose. Please don't forget about this. We have glucose and fructose. That is the two basic monosaccharides that are found in sucrose. So you can see that even from the structure. And then we have lactose. A lactose is also another disaccharide that consists glucose and galactose. And they are mainly found in dairy products, like in milk from cow or from human milk. But for sucrose, we usually get them in table sugar. Please, all these things that I'm doing, I usually see them in past question paper. So you should take note of them. The disaccharide and there. So the disaccharide we have sucrose. So can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me and see my slide now? Okay, so excellent. So we're now talking about maltose. So we said lactose is found in dairy products, and then the next one is maltose. So a maltose is also another examples of disaccharide, and it's made of two molecules of glucose. So it's two molecules of glucose that form maltose. So these monosaccharides, glucose and fructose, they join through glycosidic bond. Lactose also, there are glucose and galactose, they also join through glycosidic bond. And then for the maltose also, where you have two molecules of glucose join themselves, they also joined through the glycosidic bond. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the most common monosaccharide that we have, and their structure and how they are actually generated. So then the next thing that we are going to look at also briefly is on polysaccharide. So these polysaccharides, There are large molecules composed of a long chain of monosaccharides. So when you have a long chain of polysaccharides, more than 10 or 15 to 20, 30, 50, 100, 1000, 20,000. So all those falls under polysaccharide, and they are formed as a result of uh, the linkage between a simple sugars, which is monosaccharide. Yeah, we don't usually ask questions to draw this structure, but I will advise you to go through it and read so that you can see if you can get the structure. So then the polysaccharide, as I mentioned, there are homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. But in most cases, we are going to discuss more on homopolysaccharide. So these homopolysaccharides, they can be linear or they can be branch. We have linear and we have branch. So these polysaccharides, they serve various roles, including energy storage. So they can also, you can also store carbohydrates, as usually what happens also in the case of fats. So for carbohydrates, you can also store them in the form of glycogen, and it also supports structure. So examples of this polysaccharide, we have starch, we have cellulose, and we have glycogen. So these are the examples of polysaccharide, and all these polysaccharides, they are made of a simple, so that they are made of the same repeating unit. So that is why they are all homopolysaccharides. So now, briefly, we are going to look at the starch. So for those of you that are really wanted to join the channel, I will send you the link to the group so that you can use it to join. So then the next thing is starch. So a starch is a storage polysaccharide that found in plant. So you see, starch is a polysaccharide and it's usually found in plant, and it consists of two major components. There is amylose and amylopectin. So it's made up of both amylose and amylopectin. Okay, Lillian, please, maltose is made up of glucose and water with another glucose. So two molecules of glucose is actually what join together to produce the maltose. Is that clear? So now, moving to the starch. So starch is actually a storage form of polysaccharides. So you can also store carbohydrate in plant in form of starch, and it consists of amylose and amylopectin. So please have this up at the back of your mind because we are coming back to describe them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this starch is also serve as an energy reserve that can be broken down into glucose when needed. So they can serve as an energy reserve. So you can keep them and reserve them. When you need energy, then the starch can be utilized to generate that energy. So the starch is commonly found in foods such as potato, rice, and corn. So this is where most of these starch are produced. So then the next thing is, of course, the glycogen. So the glycogen is a storage form of glucose in plant and is highly branched. So it usually stored form of uh, carbohydrate or glucose in our body, in animals, and we are animals. So in the form of the glycogen. So when you have excess glucose in our body that our body cannot utilize them, then they usually stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. And when the glucose in our body is exhausted, then is this glycogen in the liver that will be mobilized and then used to generate other glucose molecules for other physiological purposes. So it is a primary stored in the liver and in muscles. So it can be stored in muscles and it can also be stored in liver. So you may be asked where lipids are stored in human body. So it's stored both in liver and muscle, but they have difference. Even the two glycogen, they are different in terms of how they are utilized in the body. So their metabolism is not the same. The glycogen in the liver and that of the muscles. So then the glycogen can be quickly mobilized during period of increased energy demand. So you see, when you store it and you need extra amount of energy, so it needs to be mobilized so that it can be channeled to generate a lot of other energy. So this is how, if you look at it here, you can see the glycogen is really branch. Look at how it forms different branch. So then the next one is cellulose. So cellulose is a structural polysaccharide that found in the cell wall of plant. So they are structural carbohydrate and you can actually find them in the cell wall of plant, and it composed of a linear change of glucose units. So the glycosidic bond that form in cellulose is not longer alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, rather it is beta glycosidic bond. Humans generally cannot digest cellulose because we don't have enzymes that can degrade the beta glycosidic bond. So we only have uh, this kind of enzymes that can break down beta glycosidic bond in some of the microorganisms. But what we have is the enzyme that can only degrade and digest alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, but it cannot degrade beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. So that is the difference. So in the case of cellulose, the cellulose, the glucose are joined together by glycosidic bond. So human cannot digest cellulose, but it is important for dietary fiber and gut health. Gut microorganisms. Yeah, you can they can use it to break down and generate glucose for us when there is a need. Then chitin. A chitin is a structural. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, because I realize that it is already after 10, so I don't want you to take much of your time here. So we have the lecture tomorrow. So let's see what we can do tomorrow. And very importantly, for those that are willing to join, please join so that immediately after you join, you should also talk to me. I will send you the videos on biostatistic and the human physiology. So this brings us to the end of the. Okay, sir. What of the starch in cassava? Yes, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So it's normal. So thank you, sir. So is there any question? Any question you want to ask? So for those that are willing to join, you should join, please. So bye bye. See you next time.